Now that the FDA is about to sign off on the Pfizer vaccine for 12 to 15-year-olds, we are hearing more on what this means for families and what went into the decision to grant the emergency use authorization. Medical experts at Children's Minnesota say they have been waiting on this approval by the FDA for months and say that they are ready to start vaccinating as soon as this Thursday. Kids would receive 2 doses similar to adults. The announcement by the FDA comes after a clinical trial studied about 2,200 kids in this age group. The study found that kids had similar side effects as adults, like arm soreness and fatigue, but actually showed higher levels of antibody responses. Patsy Stinchfield is a nurse practitioner with Children's Minnesota, and I heard an interview that you had done earlier this week, Patsy, about 4 kids in intensive care in Minnesota right now. I want you to kind of talk about that and how this is affecting kids, or how we're seeing COVID affecting kids right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have the myth that kids don't get COVID, and if they do, it's just a cold, and it's really false. We've had about 6 kids on average in the hospital every day since the beginning of the pandemic, and the last couple of weeks when we saw that little spike in Minnesota, that we had the spike in children as well. We had 12 kids in the hospital, 6 of them were in the intensive care unit, and they were teenagers. So all of them, I was thinking to myself, they're all age eligible now after tomorrow's vote with the CDC, that they would have been eligible to get vaccinated and will after they survive, but very sick kids in the intensive care unit. That's the reason why we want to vaccinate this age group.
Those who are not very fond of becoming vaccinated themselves, adults, are hesitant to take their kids in to get them vaccinated as well, as you can imagine. There are some households that are split. One parent says yes, the other parent says no. What do you say to them?
Well, I say your fears or concerns are understandable. And what you don't want to do is get stuck. You want to get those questions answered and really know that the scientists are basically skeptical. We want to prove things, and we want to prove them over and over again. And so this vaccine has had amazing scientific scrutiny and use. And I mean, just think about this. We're up over 1.3 billion with a B doses being given in the world already, 232 million doses in the United States. I think if people are concerned about safety, that we would have seen safety issues by now, and we studied it well, and I have full confidence that this is the best and safest thing to do for adults and kids, as opposed to going unprotected and potentially getting this disease.
Patsy, speak to those skeptics who say only 2,000 kids were in on the latest trial for the vaccine, and who would say that's not enough. That's not enough kids enrolled in the study. Therefore, there's not enough data for kids on the safety.
Yeah, vaccine trials start with adults. And so there were 40,000 people in that trial. Half of them got the placebo, half of them got the vaccine. You don't need to repeat another 40,000 for every age group. You now have some basic understanding of the safety of how you make antibodies, and you get a smaller group and you study them and then compare it to the larger group. And in fact, in the 12 to 15-year-olds, the antibody results were higher and more protective than they were in that 18 and over. So we have good signals that this works. We also followed them and saw that they had the very same safety profile that the adult in that big 40,000 trial did. And so we don't need to do another very large trial. We've got the data that we need.
In an interview that I heard you on regarding the safety of the vaccine for kids, you had said that there are no safety concerns. People are going to challenge that.
Well, I mean, in terms of, children in the trials did not have significant, that no one died from the vaccine. There are safety concerns with all vaccines. That's why we study them in depth. There will be, in this particular vaccine, we're seeing the same kind of things you expect in vaccines: arm soreness, redness, some fatigue. some fever. When I say safety concerns, I mean that no one has been hospitalized with significant vaccine side effects, those kinds of things in the messenger RNA vaccine from Pfizer-BioNTech.
Okay, and you are a liaison with the CDC. There is a meeting tomorrow. Talk to me about moving forward. What's next?
Tomorrow, the CDC Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices will look at all the data. We will ask a lot of hard questions, 6 hours of conversation, and we'll hear from the manufacturer, we'll hear from the CDC, we'll hear from the safety advisory groups and the COVID vaccine work group. And then at the end of the day, there will be a vote on whether to agree with FDA that the emergency use authorization should be amended. And if that's the case, then it goes back to the CDC director. She'll likely sign it tomorrow. And then we potentially will be able to vaccinate 12 and over starting Thursday.
Patsy Stinchfield with Children's Minnesota. I so appreciate your time. I know you're very busy.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.